yeah, maybe we should do, one of these clap applause, kind of let them win a prize or something like that. Still want to thank my personal sponsor, Mountain Dew. It's a long day, as I said earlier on. Maybe the first company that I'm going to ask on stage is maybe going to win the one for the cutest name or for the best name. Yeah. If you do quality, I think quality is a great name for a company. So I'd like to invite Jonathan Chu on stage to introduce his company. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, hi guys. I'm John Chu. I am the founder of Quality. And today we're going to be talking about one of the frontiers of cloud technology, which is cloud automation testing. And I hope you guys are excited, because first we're going to start by talking about your problems. So the development process has a lot of issues, right? Your engineering team runs into long test suites, and these test suites prevent them from doing work. So when they're waiting for things to happen, they're not actually working. And broken builds also cause lots of problems, because when the build breaks, your entire team is blocked from doing work. They're annoyed, they're frustrated, and they're prevented from shipping product. And this is exactly why we built Quality, to solve all of these problems. And we've delivered real results to our customers. So we've taken an 80-minute test suite down to 6 minutes, and 40 build breaks a month to 0. So you're probably wondering how we do this. And it's done with the help of AWS. So Quality is a deployed service. It goes into your AWS cloud, and it sits behind your VPC, so you can firewall everything off and keep all your code secure. And then it will just manage the spinning up and spinning down of EC2 test executors to allow your engineers to push more changes. If you need heavy throughput, it'll just spin up more EC2 machines. If you want faster parallelization for faster test suites, you can have higher parallelization, and it'll just manage the spinning up and down of the test executors in the test cluster. So let's take a look at how this actually looks to the engineer on the front end when he's actually using the product. So on the left here, we have changes coming in. In the center, these are just different stages of the change. And on the right is live console output coming out in real time from the test cluster, so your engineer knows exactly what's going on. So what Quality actually does is it holds all of your changes in this limbo state and only merges it back into the repository if things pass. And that way, it keeps things in limbo state and doesn't show other people if the build's going to break, and that's how it prevents broken builds. And as we see here, the multiple spinners coming up, these are multiple instances that we've just spawned in EC2, parallelizing your test suites and making things run really quickly. And this particular change would have failed, so we would have kept it in the limbo state, and broken build would have been prevented, so your team will not be angry. But I'm really proud to announce a new feature today here on stage, which is the private debug instance. And it's actually pretty neat. We built this originally so that you could solve the use case where if an engineer has a test that works on his machine and fails in the testing cluster, he can actually just get something on the testing cluster to debug things on. So the way you actually use this is you click on a change, and you hit the Launch Debug Instance button. And at this point, what Quality does is it spins up a brand new instance in your testing cluster, provisions it exactly how all the other testing machines look, hands you SSH access to it, and allows you to just work on that machine. And our customers have been really innovative with this. So some of them actually do some neat stuff. So one of them has every dev just have a private debug instance at all times, and they just throw code on these instances to give themselves almost a staging-like environment to test things on while they're iterating. And another one actually has QA select changes from Quality, spin up these debug instances, reuse the artifacts, and just QA changes live on the fly, which really shortens the iteration loop for them. So developer productivity problems, right? This is very expensive. Companies have looked at these problems in the past. You have like Facebook and Google. They have these giant internal systems that they've spent millions and millions on. And you have to maintain these systems for the lifetime of your company. So it doesn't make sense for most people, which is why we've picked up some awesome customers. And the one missing on this slide is actually Airbnb, who got their entire engineering organization switched over to Quality last week. And the reason why they use Quality is because they want their engineers moving their customer-facing products forward and building and keeping their companies growing, and letting Quality make their engineers more effective lets them do that faster. So we have a special offer today. If you go to qualitycode.com/reinvent and you put in your contact info, we're raffling off an iPad to someone in the next 2 days. And if you come to Quality and you decide to sign a contract with us and you tell us you saw us at reInvent, we're giving away 2 months for free. So if you'd like to find out more, my co-founder is over there, Jordan. That's what he looks like. And you can go talk to him. You can go talk to me, too. So thank you.
Thanks, John. I think for free is always good. Let's put it at that.
Yes.
So
actually, before this, I owe you a hug from the team out there that helped us together.
Okay. Hugs are free, man. It's good. Yeah. So how do I interact with the test system? I mean, is this for unit testing? Is it complete systems testing? What's the interaction? How do I, as a programmer, actually write tests that end up on the system?
Yeah, so you actually write tests like you normally would. So you're probably using some framework, nose test, JUnit, et cetera.
Okay.
And we actually operate at the operating system or shell level. So you chunk up the test that way, and all we look for is a 0 or 1 return code. So normally you spend some time setting up the system, and once it's set up, the engineer just codes like you normally would, and the system just works. Right?
Okay. So what if I have a more complex system that I would like to test? So most of my output will not be on the screen. I mean, probably there will be massive output. So most of that goes to log files and things like that. So how do customers get access to sort of the logs that we're generating during the system? So
we actually will save off logs and screenshots or whatever you want to S3 so you can view them later.
Okay.
And it allows the engineers to actually, some of them will actually screenshot bugs that, like say on the website, something doesn't match up. They'll screenshot that and the engineers can look at it and just debug it that way.
Okay. Of course, I mean, unit testing is not something that happens in isolation. I think quite a few people are looking at sort of continuous integration, where testing is an important part, you know, in pre-staging, whether you do deployment or not.
Yes.
You guys, how do you play nicely with sort of the other steps in the whole development process?
So right now we tackle the dev part of the process, right? So I myself is an engineer. So we are trying to make the engineers much more effective. But when you get into DevOps, right, we are looking to move into continuous deployments. And part of this actually is the private debug instance. We're managing almost a staging instance here. Yeah. It's not that big of a stretch to put that into production, right? Yeah. Okay. So if you look at systems such as the new one, Worker and others that do continuous deployment, then you could be part of sort of the process that they manage as well. Yep.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much, John. Yeah. And thanks for launching your new feature here on AWS. Thank you. Yeah. So next up is the team from CardFlight. Welcome, co-founder and CEO Tim Saunders, who's going to talk to us about CardFlight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I was going to give you a hug. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm Tim Saunders, CTO and co-founder of CardFlight. So what is CardFlight? CardFlight is the open platform for you to easily integrate mobile payments into your own custom application. We all know payments is a huge industry, and mobile is a mega trend right now. And so we all know that mobile payments is expected to be a $617 billion business by 2016. So we all know that's a huge industry. The problem today with mobile payments is that for small businesses, SMB businesses, there's lots of players in the space like Square, Intuit, PayPal. They all provide a reader, an app, and their processing payment back-end system. For tier 1 merchants, top-level merchants, there's limited SDK functionality. It's not very developer-centric. It's very hard. You have to jump through a few hoops to get mobile payments working inside your app. So we see our target market as medium-sized businesses that have their own custom application and want to be able to accept mobile payments inside that app without having to switch to another app for mobile payments. So how does CardFlight work? CardFlight works by, firstly, we provide a piece of hardware, an encrypted magstripe reader, which connects to your iPhone or Android app. Secondly, with just a few lines of code and our SDK, you can get mobile payments up and running. We expect under an hour for you to be processing mobile payments inside your app. And thirdly, we support your processor. So we're agnostic in terms of our processing back end. So you as a mid-sized level business, you don't need to change to a different processor, but we support up to 23 different processors today. And the great thing about CardFlight is that we manage the end-to-end encryption and PCI compliance with inside your app, so you don't have to worry about any of that sort of integration within your app. You can just focus on building your own custom application inside your app. So AWS, we're very excited to be using AWS because AWS has really helped us as a business to break down our PCI compliance scope down to the smallest unit of work possible. So that as we grow and scale, we can spawn up various AMIs into different availability zones, different regions around the world, so that we can scale and we can focus on what we do really well, which is mobile payments. And the great thing about AWS is we went on a fact-finding mission to find out, because as a startup, you don't want to focus on PCI compliance. You want to focus on building your product, getting that MVP out, getting it out as quick as possible. So we did a bit of a research and found that Amazon came up on trumps in terms of the amount of developer hours it would take a developer for CardFlight to become PCI compliant. And as you can see from this graphic, it was going to take 306 hours estimated for our developers to become PCI compliant within CardFlight. And the great thing about AWS is their shared responsibility model. It allows us as mobile payments developers to focus on us building the application and for AWS to focus on what they do really well, which is cloud, server, high security, and looking after PCI compliance. AWS, we didn't have to spawn up a different, tick a few boxes or sign NDAs. We just basically, Amazon had it already out of the box for us to have the core infrastructure already passed by PCI compliance. And I'm very excited today at AWS reInvent. We're announcing 2 new features as part of CardFlight. Firstly is our custom manual entry, and I'm very excited about this. This allows you as a developer to drop in text fields inside your own application, which allows you to process credit card data without you having to even worry about accessing that data. So you can securely post that data through our text fields as a part of our SDK and process that on the CardFlight servers. And secondly, Braintree. We all love Braintree, and we're announcing today that we're integrating with them today as one of our extra payment processors today. And finally, an exclusive offer here today at AWS reInvent. We're giving free 12-month subscription to our readers, which allows you access to our full SDK, access to our payment processors, our developer dashboard. So if you want to be part of this exclusive offer, which will end tomorrow night at midnight, is either email us at aws@getcardflight.com or come and see myself or Ellie, who's one of my colleagues here. He's French, but he's okay. I'm Australian, so it's all good. So we're going to be on the side of stage here. We have a whole box of readers. If you want to buy a reader and be a part of this 12-month free subscription, we'd love you to be a part of it. We can ask any questions. And thanks again, AWS, for letting us be a part of this. Thank you.
Great. Wow.
Do I give you a hug?
Thank you for explaining to the rest of the world, you know, how easy it is to become PCI compliant on top of our platform. But maybe not everybody in the room understands that. So what is the amount of work that you need to do really to become PCI compliant? I mean, what is it? Let me actually take that from one of your customers' point of view. So is someone that writes a program using your SDK automatically PCI compliant? Or do they need to do some work as well?
No, so that's the service that we offer. We basically offer for you to be able to drop in mobile payments inside your own custom app, and we look after all the security, end-to-end encryption of magstripe data being processed, and you don't have to worry about PCI compliance. Similar to e-commerce sites where they abstract out that PCI compliance, we do that on the mobile side.
So does that also mean you get audited by the Visas of this world to make sure that you indeed did everything correctly?
Yes, we do, yes.
Okay, you have all the audits and all the documentation.
Yes, all those millions of questions.
This is the hardest piece, man, around payment. So the other hardest piece around payment is international. How do you guys support international? Or is it US only? Or
Yes. So like I was saying, we support 23 different processors. So the actual processing of that payment relies on the processor. So let's say, for example, Braintree offer, there's several tens of countries that they offer. So we basically pass that payment through our system to their back-end servers. Mm-hmm. So if they're dealing in, let's say, Australian dollars, because we love Australian dollars, they process in Australian dollars.
Okay, cool.
So yes, we do support multiple
Okay,
currencies.
well that's really important because I think the world is flat. And especially if you launch mobile applications, everybody in the world would like to use them. So thank you very much for being a great customer. And thank you for, so you beat these guys. They gave 2 months for free. You give 12 months for free.
Yeah.
Let me see, guys, who's up next?
Yeah, thank you very
much. So let me welcome on stage the guys from Runscope. 2 of you is going to be on stage. This is CEO John Sheehan and his co-founder CTO Frank Stratton. And let's see, 24 months free?
Sure, why not? On Werner, he's going to pay for it. All right. Hi there. I'm John, this is Frank, and we co-founded Runscope. Frank and I spent 2+ years working together at Twilio, and we really, really love building and working with APIs. So much so that we created Runscope to help solve API problems faster. We saw a lot of problems with how people were integrating with them and thought we could build tools to make that easier. Earlier this year, we launched our Runscope Traffic Inspector. The Runscope Traffic Inspector allows you to capture requests from any application in any language or framework to any API by only changing the host name with no other changes to your code. Once you've captured a request, you can view it in the Request Inspector, which just lets you see full request and response data, share that data with others, retry it right from the web, and get live search feeds of your traffic data as it flows through the system. Thousands of the top companies in the world have used our service, and so far we have captured over 25 million API calls with our debugging tools.
Now, when you're trying to debug a problem, you need your tools to be available. And for our customers, downtime is not an option. So Amazon Web Services has given us the tools to provide a scalable, fault-tolerant infrastructure. And from the very beginning, we were built as a service-oriented architecture. We have over 18 independent services running on EC2 across multiple availability zones. All of our services are registered in Route 53, and using a combination of Route 53 health checks and our own internal tools, we're able to automatically detect when a service fails and remove that service from our cluster before our customers ever see a problem. Now, another thing when you're working with APIs is network performance. That's a top priority for you. So AWS has allowed us to build out service regions in Australia, Ireland, and both the US coasts. With these service regions, we're able to offer low latency performance to all of our customers. One of our customers, based in New Zealand, recently switched from our US East region to our Australia region and saw traffic go from 7 seconds down to under 100 milliseconds.
And as you can imagine, they were pretty happy about that performance boost. So we've built some great debugging tools. We have really rock-solid infrastructure. But now we want to move on to the next problem when it comes to integrating with APIs, and that's testing. One of the things we frequently hear from our customers is, I'm terrified of making changes to my back-end services. Having back-end services that are, 1, available, and 2, returning correct data is essential to providing a quality app experience. Broken services means broken apps. So we want to solve that today. So I'm really happy to introduce to you today a brand new product that we call Runscope Radar. It's automated mobile backend service and API testing. So at a high level, Runscope Radar allows you to define HTTP requests that are captured from within your app and then run those automatically on a schedule or as part of your build or deploy process. You can see here the overview screen that shows you basically a real-time indicator of what the cloud services that are powering your apps are. This works with third-party APIs as well as your own internal services that power your apps. So I want to walk through briefly how to create your own tests. So what I'm going to start here, and I've got a list of requests. And what happens is, you can see here is I'm going to make a post request to this endpoint. And what I'm going to do is include this email parameter, a header there, and then some other data. So when this comes back, in order for this to be successful, we are 1 slide ahead. I apologize. 1 video ahead. There we go. All right. So post data, HTTP requests we've all seen many times. But in order for this test to pass, what we need to do is define what it means for our application for that test to be successful. So I'm going to go into the assertion editor and add a new assertion that says, when I run this request, make sure that the status code equals 200. You can assert against header values, JSON or XML bodies, and the status code. I'm going to add the same assertion for this second request. Again, this test will only pass if the response to this request is 200. And as you can see, we like 200 the most. So on this third one, it has a slightly different response code. So I'm going to add an assertion that says, when I create this event, make sure that the response code equals 202. All right. So I'm going to go up now, and I'm going to run the test. And through the magic of television, I can tell you ahead of time this is going to pass. And so we'll see that in a moment. All right. 3 requests remaining. Tester executed sequentially, too, which is important for the next point. There we go. There's our first passing test. But your apps aren't static, and neither should your tests. So we also have this thing feature called variables. So I'm going to change the email address here, and then I'm going to go add a new variable. And a variable is a way to extract data from one request and then pass that into subsequent requests dynamically. So you can see in my JSON response there I have an attribute called ID, which returns 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to assign that to a variable called user ID. And now in the subsequent requests, I can go down, if I were faster with my virtual mouse, and I can dynamically insert that variable from the previous response into this request. We also have built-in variables and functions for things like MD5 hashes and base64 encoded signatures, that sort of thing. So I'm going to add the user ID to this request as well. And then I'm going to run the test again. And fingers crossed, it'll pass. It's going to pass. And so there you go. That'll be our test run. Once you've run your own test, you can inspect the HTTP request data that was all of the requests that were part of your test. All right. To wrap up, you can capture real API calls for your tests. You can define assertions for your success criteria. You can use variables to insert dynamic data into requests. You can run these tests on a schedule as frequently as every minute for API monitoring. You can integrate with continuous integration systems like Quality, GitHub, Heroku, Jenkins, TeamCity, all of those, anything that supports webhooks. And you can get email and webhook notifications, so you're the first to know when something goes wrong with your backend services before your customers let you know that your app is broken. We have a special offer. It's sadly not 24 months, but 90 days free of our top tier plan. That's $180 a month value, so go check it out, runscope.com/reinvent.
So educate me a bit. This is something that you would run in production, basically as a sort of a proxy between your APIs and whatever apps that's being running out there. Is that correct?
So we use a proxy to capture the initial request, which then you can use for your tests. So one important thing about tests is using real data in your tests, not recreating those. That way you get much more accurate tests. So using our existing traffic gateway, you can capture all the requests from your app. And that's, again, any app, any framework, because all you have to do is change the host name. And then base your test off of those requests.
OK, but that's for radar. Yeah, but the original Runscope is something where in real time you are sitting in between the traffic from customers and the backend systems.
Yep, and it's best tailored for development time or staging. We do have customers that run it in production though because they appreciate the data that they get.
You can run alarms on basically changing metrics around sort of the. So is there a penalty in terms of performance going for, let's say, for your proxy? That people in production would need to take into account?
So it's extremely minimal, and that's one of the reasons we introduced service regions, because really the only overhead is distance from the API. And so our customers were saying, like that New Zealand example, that API call was going from New Zealand to Virginia to Singapore to Virginia and back to Australia, and that was taking 7 seconds.
Yeah.
When we added the service region, they said it was nearly imperceptible. And so that was the point when they said, we want to run this with all our production traffic now. We don't even notice it. It's not affecting our app performance.
OK, so how do you guys deploy globally? Is that a sort of a manual process? Have you automated that yourselves? Are you using you yourselves making use of Runscope to actually look at your APIs?
Absolutely. So we have Runscope available to see all our Amazon API calls, all of our internal service calls. We have an internal tool called Prometheus that we use to deploy to all of our different service regions.
Okay.
One of those small services internally is called Pyroxy. It's a small independent piece, and with one click, we can have that sent out to all 4 service regions and deployed in a minute. So it's not entirely automatic. It's just one click. So.
OK. Well, great. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for being on stage. Thanks for offering this service to your for 90 days free. So
thanks very much.
Let's see, who do we have next? Sportscast. Yeah. Here we have CEO of Sportscast. A.G. Solomon and his VP of Engineering, Arun, and Peter Kim. Is he also going to be there? Nah, okay, we leave Peter out there. Nah. Come on, guys. Sportscast.
Yeah, I think you told
Oh,
their
sorry,
names
I
with
was
our
not
company.
used. Sorry. My fault. Please come on stage. I'll just get rid of embarrassment here. Yes. Brad is. Who's Brad?
I'm
Brad. Hi, Brad.
I must be.
And you're Mark.
That's right.
Okay, Mark Ortega and Brad
Coconuts.
Coconados.
Very good.
Please, guys, go ahead.
Thanks.
My fault. Sorry, guys.
Hello, AWS. I'm Brett,
And I'm Mark.
and we're Sportcast. I love watching my niece play soccer, but she lives in a totally different state, so I can't realistically go see her play soccer all the time. But since my family started using Sportcast, I'm able to watch all the greatest moments from anywhere. Sportcast is the easiest way to create, share, and watch the best sporting moments. We have a little clip that I want to show you that talks about other people's greatest moments in their sport.
My best memory of playing soccer when I was young was winning a state championship for Los Alamos High School my senior year.
My favorite memory is probably a whole tournament in Denver we went to, because it was just good competition in every game, and then we ended up winning the championship.
Probably like the first time I ever tipped and got a kill off of it. It was probably like the most exciting thing ever.
There wasn't really any pictures or any kind of anything from that game.
I've never been able to capture one of those moments, actually.
Usually you've been filming for 20 minutes and nothing happens, and suddenly when you turn it off, that's when it scores.
Remember a game-winning point, but we'll remember who we were with at those events and places. And when you can go back and just share that moment, that is just a highlight in itself.
Sportcast. Seize the play.
Thanks. So we know that sports are really exciting. And capturing those greatest moments has been very difficult. We see a lot of people trying to press start and stop, or they end up with a video that they never do anything with. Sportcast has a unique technology that captures replays from the past. So basically, you're using your camera to observe the action, and after that great touchdown, spike, or score, you just touch the Sportcast button and create a replay from the past. Sportcast builds communities around events. So this means that you don't have to be connected to friends. The event is your connection. And you're able to just find your favorite team, athlete, or event that's nearby. And of course, because it's event-driven, we also crowdsource all that video. So if you're at a large stadium, you get a stadium view if there's multiple broadcasters there. You can see all those great plays from multiple angles. Let's take a first-world look at Sportcast.
Sportcast is a free and exciting way to capture, share, and replay game highlights using your smartphone. Sportcast lets any fan create and share 8-second instant replays. Simply tap the Sportcast button after a great play to capture it. Fans can watch and share video caught from multiple angles, following the best action right from their smartphones. Sharing the best of youth and amateur sports is fun when fans favorite, comment, and share Sportcast highlights. It's the perfect app to seize the play and be a part of their sport community.
Well, there you guys get a little glimpse into our application. In March, we started Sportcast at Santa Fe Startup Weekend. And yes, that is Santa Fe, New Mexico. And like with most startups, we had no money and no servers. And so from day one, we chose Amazon Web Services. They had the servers and the services we need, and we got to pay only for what we use. So let's take a look at when somebody captures a highlight, what happens. Sorry, as you guys notice, there's feedback. I got to find the right spot, I guess. Maybe this is better. So when a fan captures a highlight with the Sportcast app, the video and the image upload to S3 in the cloud. And then we send a message to the simple queue service And from that queue, we read the message, and we use Elastic Transcoder to encode it into multiple formats, multiple bit rates for our fans' many devices, from smartphones to tablets to PCs. And in a nutshell, that's how we process the video and the images within the system. This is a high-level architecture, so of course we do use EC2 instances that auto-scale. We use elastic load balancers in front. We use CloudWatch to monitor the systems as well. And at least from all the sessions I've been attending and watching companies have gone to 10 million users, 100 million users, we'll be using other things like Elastic Cache, NoSQL databases, and other systems. But our goal at Sportcast is really to scale from one fan to fans of the 46 million amateur athletes out there. So today, we do have a special promotion or special offer for you. We really are launching our application today. And you don't get 2 months free, you don't get 3 months free, you don't get 9 months free. We are free, so you can have it for free as long as you want it. So I want everyone to pull out their smartphones, mobile phones. If you have an iPhone, text AWS to 313131. You'll get text back a link. You can just click, install the app right on your phone. Currently, we don't have the Android version released, but if you do have an Android, text 313131, and when it is available, you'll get a link to download and install that. We are just a startup. This is our first release. You guys will have great ideas. You'll have valuable feedback, so please email us at help@sportcast.com. Go to our Facebook page, which is Sportcast. Twitter, we're at Sportcast as well. And let us know what you think, and we'll continue to develop and build the app with you. So we're available after this. Look for the orange sickle shirts, but make sure you look up, because if you look down, you might see Werner's shoes and get confused. So keep your heads up. But thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. And I just got the link, so it's true what these guys
It does
say.
work.
Yeah, so it does work. Okay. I can understand why you would want to do this initial for sport, amateur sports, but this could be something that is way beyond sports, of course. I mean, it's not just, if I would have to watch a game of my kid the whole day with actually my smartphone in front of me, this might not be something that you would want to do. I mean, is this, but I can imagine that this goes way beyond sports. Yeah.
It's just the beginning, but the other thing to consider, since it is a crowdsourced system, you don't have to sit there with your camera watching your kids.
You hope that somebody else is actually with the camera
are capturing it as well.
That's it. Okay, cool. You guys made use of Elastic Transcoder.
Yes.
What kind of features did you use of that? Sort of, do you use that to get all the different formats out? You happy with it?
Yeah, well, we were using FFmpeg just on EC2 instances.
Yeah.
And, we had to then take into consideration, well, how do we scale this? How do we process 100 videos simultaneously?
Yeah.
How do we make sure they're highly available so if one, if the server goes down? And then we said, well, why are we doing all this when you guys provide the service to do it all in a scalable, highly available manner? So yeah, we have lots of jobs that create one job for each video that puts it into the formats and the bit rates. And we get all those outputs back into an S3 bucket, which then when anybody views a video, it goes through the nearest edge location in CloudFront, so you always get the video from wherever you're at. Okay, so I can understand that actually let's say the input app is something that runs on your phone, but you have multiple outputs. I mean, can I watch on the web to this? So you guys have more applications that are actually able to share and watch the content of. Yes, actually, if you do have an Android, you might not be able to get the app today, but you can watch all the videos by just going to our website, sportcast.com. We do stream them back through the website, and they work on, we did make it responsive, so it works on your cell phone, just like your tablet or your PC. Okay, and it's free now, but? Free forever, that's our plan. Yeah? Okay, cool. Enjoy. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming on stage and actually launching here. Great, and actually being great customers as well. You already know who's coming, yeah, because I already told you who they are. So let me go do that again. Let's go back. So A.G. Solomon, Aaron Tumpy, and Peter Kim are the three founders of Nutritious.io. Let these guys actually introduce themselves and what they do. Thanks, guys.
Good.
Hey guys, I'm AJ, this is Arun, and this is Peter. We're from Nitrous.io, and we're building a next-generation, revolutionary cloud development platform. So first of all, I want to talk about a few of the problems that we face with local development environments. The first one is that you're basically tied to one device. So if you spill something on your computer, or if you break your computer, you're kind of screwed. You're probably out of work for a couple days. They're also difficult to reproduce, so if you have teammates and you want to actually duplicate what you've done, you're going to have to go through the entire setup process again. It's also not shareable, so if you want to have like a remote pair programming interview or something like that, it's difficult to do that and actually have someone run code on your local environment. So this is where Nitrous.io comes into play and really shines. First of all, we provide you with a development environment in the cloud that sets up in 30 seconds. That's accessible on any HTML5 capable device. And there's real-time collaboration in the cloud, Google Docs style, which is really nice. We've already had 60,000 development environments created since June 26th. And AWS has been incredibly helpful for getting us set up. And Arun's going to tell you basically how that works.
Thanks, AJ. Our number one design goal while building Nitrous.io was to dramatically reduce latency. Anyone who's ever tried to use a cloud-based development environment in the past has probably been frustrated by latency while typing commands into like a virtual shell in your browser. But with AWS's global availability, we've been able to dramatically reduce latency for our users, and thereby making it almost indistinguishable from localhost. In fact, that's one of the best feedback that we've ever received from our users is that they're like, holy crap, we can't believe that this is in the cloud. As AJ mentioned, we have 60,000 development environments on our platform since in a very few short months. And you might think that we probably have spun up 60,000 EC2 instances to support these users. But you'd be wrong. We only have 6. With our proprietary software platform built on top of Linux containers, and with the kind of flexibility that EBS, Elastic Block Storage, provides us, we are able to service many thousands of development environments within a single compute instance. And it's worked out great for us so far. But enough about how it works. My co-founder, Pete, will kind of actually show you the magic.
Clicker. Thanks, Aaron. So let me show you how you can create a Ruby on Rails, brand new Ruby on Rails development environment with Nitrous.io. So this is a new box screen that we have. So you can, for this demo, we're going to pick Ruby on Rails. As you can see, we also support Node.js, Python, and Go as well. And we're going to choose US West because that's the closest region to us. And you can also customize memory and storage you want to allocate to your device, to your box. OK. Once you're done customizing, this is the provisioning screen you see. And in just a few seconds, you'll see your box come right up. And it's already up and running. It's that easy. This is our Nitrous.io web IDE. And as you can see, it's running entirely within the browser. You have a text editor. You have a chat pane for collaboration. And you have the full Linux shell as well, again, in the browser. And we're going to use the full Linux shell to create our Ruby on Rails application. So we're going to run a bunch of commands.
Did we mention that this was in the browser? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in less than a minute, our Ruby on Rails application is already up and running.
Totally in the browser. You can also share this link publicly with anyone because it's publicly accessible.
Right. And we're using a Mac over here, but you can use it with any HTML5 capable device. There was actually a homeless man who was using Nitrous.io to learn the code on a Chromebook, so that's really cool. Yeah, and you can also invite your coworkers to collaborate on a project, Google Docs style. So here you can see Ern and I working on a JavaScript project together in the same box. OK, now let me get back to AJ for how you can check it out for yourself, and not just for 2 months or 12 months or 24 months, but for foreseeable future.
Well, first, we actually want to announce launch of our business offering. So there are some really slick, basically, team and administrative tools for these development environments that we're launching today. And you can apply for the program by visiting nitrous.io/business. And in addition to that, we also have something to offer you, which will last as long as we can afford it. And I guess Werner can help maybe throw some credits or something like that. But you'll have a free box with a gig of memory and 2 gigs of storage by just visiting this link. It's limited to 500. So I don't know how many people are here, but get on your laptops and sign up now. Thank you very much.
And also, we're hiring.
Yeah, we're hiring.
We're hiring as well, by the way. Before it's just to make sure we can hire you guys. Cool, very cool. Looks really cool. A few questions. Yeah. You have your own container format that you use. I mean, or you use, or is it something that you built yourself? Is it Docker? Use Docker or anything like that, or?
So we use LXC, which is what Docker is built on top of as well. So
okay. Right now, it's our own proprietary software that's doing it.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you manage? So I can imagine that okay, I see building a Rails app coming up free very quickly. How do you manage dependency? How do I get, say, all my libraries in there, everything else that I want to be dependent on? Because in essence, dependency management is some of the hardest thing to do. How do you guys deal with that?
So we have a package manager. We have our own package manager called Autoparts, which lets you really install really quickly tools like, tools and databases like Postgres or, Git.
Oh, you still have to install them.
Right.
So where do they install into?
They install into the containers.
In the containers,
yes,
right?
Within like the user space.
So basically, I can pre-package a container with all the dependencies that I have.
And then you
guys launch that.
Yeah.
And then you can create that as a template and clone that.
Okay, and I can easily, let's say, just flip the off switch to the container as well and just make things go away.
Yes.
And stuff like that.
And our business offering actually supports.
Do you have problems that people just leave their IDE running? I can imagine that's sort of, you would want to freeze an IDE instance while after use.
Yeah, I mean, we actually do that. So we kind of monitor if your IDE session has been idle for a certain amount of time, and we shut it down so that we kind of have capacity for other users who are actively using it on the system.
Okay.
And our business offering also supports Chef and Puppet. So
inside the container, so you can sort of have your recipes ready to actually load and build your container before people start actually container. Cool. How do we get it out of there? I mean, this is a great environment to build in and to test in. Now I want to run it in production. How am I going to do that? I mean, how do I get my code and everything out there so that I can actually start deploying it to do my production system?
Right. So right now, we have a bunch of deployment tools pre-built into every container. So we have Elastic Beanstalk and the Heroku tool belt, the Google App Engine. We're kind of agnostic towards deployment. So whatever you feel like doing, you can basically do it.
Okay, so if I want to do a Node.js on Beanstalk, then basically it's a click of a button towards my account. You guys deploy it into there. Yeah. How does that work from a security point of view? I mean, do I have to give you my credentials, or how does it work?
I mean, the user manages his credentials within the container, so he can kind of log in within the container and deploy it to.
Yeah, so it's not a flat file where you store anything into. So hopefully, do you guys support IAM there?
I'm sorry?
Do you support IAM?
Not yet.
Okay, given that will be the default pretty soon, better find a way to actually support that. Great. Hey, no. I think the thing we did first, where you actually could just store your user credential in a flat file somewhere in your system, not a good plan. But it looks very slick. Thank you for the offer, and I think you guys do a great job.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey.
Thanks. 5 great companies that launched there. Actually, you may have heard something else. I don't know whether you've heard that Amazon.com, the retailer, actually also is in the business of making new videos. They make new series. One of those series that Amazon has actually announced is called BRAS, which is a sort of a series that is all about startup vendors living together in a house. Let me show you a clip of that of that video, which you might actually enjoy. This is a huge opportunity.
You know what companies have been through this accelerator?
BRB. This app helps like-minded people socialize in the real world.
I think you're gonna flame on or flame out. Either way, it ought to be entertaining.
I don't believe in meetings. I believe in massages.
You got everybody's attention, you better deliver.
I feel that.
Okay, so check these things out. Amazon Originals are a great set of series. BLS is one of them. Alpha House is another one that's actually really cool with John Goodman. Check these things out. But now to celebrate the launches of these 5 great companies that were here on stage, there's drinks and snacks there in the back, and please mingle and have fun until Dead Mouse arrives tonight. Yeah, thank you.